Hello guys, my name is DWell727 and welcome to my Battlefield 1 Medic Guide. In this video I'll be putting both all medic weapons and gadgets in the tier list, as well as evaluating them individually based on both their stats and my personal opinion. For this video, and for future ones, I'll be using 5 tiers: S, A, B, C, and F, with S being the best and F being the worst. Starting off in S tier, we have the Mondragon, Bandage Pouch, and the Syringe. The 1908 Mondragon is a Mexican self-loading rifle that was produced obviously in 1908. How it saw service in World War I, because Mexico's not a faction, was the German Fliegerkorps, or Flying Corps, adopted this very early in the war to use on their planes. The Mondragon has a maximum damage of 40 and a minimum damage of 35, firing at a rate of 257 rounds per minute. Now what this basically means is you'll be getting 3-shot kills at any range, up close to the end of the map. The rate of fire is intermediate, being with the slowest being 225 and the fastest being 360, but most of them falling at 300. The Mondragon also comes with a 10-round internal fixed magazine, which means you're going to have to load in every bullet in individually or in 5-round clips. Now that's very common for the period. It shares this with, I believe, 2 other medic rifles, being the Sabergoti and the Selbstlader. Now this is a downside. I mean, I consider it a plus because I think it's very cool looking, but this is a downside compared to a magazine weapon. However, with the high damage model, I don't think it's that much of a problem. As for why I think this gun is better than its main competitor, which is the Selbstlader 1916, they do have the same damage model. This gun fires a little bit faster, which wouldn't be much a deal on paper, but when you're in close quarters, it really comes in. You really notice the fire cap being much greater. And it has a bipod, which is extremely useful for if you want to pick somebody off at long range. You can just lay down and just pick them off much easier than you could with the 1916. Now, the next item would be the Bandage Pouch. The Bandage Pouch is phenomenal. You can throw this thing basically up to 20 meters to a teammate. You throw it to yourself, it heals you 15 epic HP per second, unless you take damage. And you get 2 of them per recharge, and the recharge is like 2 seconds. 3, 4, 5 seconds. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's by far the most powerful healing device that's been in a Battlefield game since I can remember, so you'd be a damn fool not to run it. The Syringe also occupies the category as Bandage Pouch, as this shit is really good. It revives a teammate 100%, 0 to 100% instantaneously. It can do 2 at a time unless there's a bandage pouch or ammo bag nearby. And it's ridiculous. I mean, the best way to counter a sniper if he headshots your teammate is just stick it in him, and he's literally, it's like nothing happened. And the only way to counter the Syringe would be to get melee killed, or let's say there's 3 people down right in front of you, you gotta wait a couple seconds. But other than that, I mean, the Syringe is really good, and as I said with the Bandage Pouch, it's by far the best, Syringe or revive tool in any Battlefield game I've seen, and I've been playing for a long time. So once again, you'd be a damn fool not to run it. Moving on to A tier, we have the Medical Crate, the Sabergoti, the Selbstlader 1916, the RSC 1917, and the Autoloading 8.25 Extended. Now, really quickly going over the Medical Crate, advantages and disadvantages to the Bandage Pouch. It can't be thrown to teammates. It doesn't heal quite as quick, and it can be interrupted pretty easily. I think by suppression, but I'm not sure. Basically, if you play game modes with a lot of people crowding around, like Operations, maybe Conquest, you can get some good mileage out of this thing. It's by no means bad. It's by far better than any of the other healing devices in the old Battlefield games. But at the end of the day, I think the Bandage Pouch is just objectively better. So I would use that. But I've seen people use this and they do fine. So it really is your call. Sabergoti is an Italian self-loading carbine that was developed, I believe, in the early or 20th century or the late 18th century, and is widely considered by many to be the world's first assault rifle. It was produced by a former soldier called Amerigo Sabergoti, and there's varying reports of its reliability, some citing Italian newspaper articles saying that it went through 300 rounds without malfunctioning, which is phenomenal for weapons back in the day, and others citing that it was pretty shisty and couldn't really perform tasks up to par. As for stats, the Sabergoti has a maximum damage of 38 and a minimum damage of 28, meaning that you'll be 3-shotting up close and 4-shotting at a distance. It fires at a very middle ground, but relatively fast rate of fire of 300 rounds per minute. And just like the Mondragon, it also comes with a 10-round internally fixed magazine, so you'll be loading in each round individually or in 5-round stripper clips. Well, this will come as a surprise to no one who's ever played this game with me, but the Saber Goatee is by far my favorite gun in the entire game. Now let me explain. It's very accurate, not only in recoil, but pinpoint accuracy. It comes with my favorite scope, which is the optical variant, which I'll throw across at a 1.5 times zoom on there. It's effective. I mean, it's not an assault weapon, but it's one of the most effective medic rifles up close. It's dominant, absolutely dominant at medium range, and at long range it can hold its own. It's not a Mondragon with 3-shot, but 4-shot with one more bullet. If they're standing still, it's not going to matter. You can tap that off so quick, but I mean, just in my opinion alone, this gun is incredible. It's very underrated. I see no one really using it. Pick it up. I promise you'll have a good time. And fun fact, this loadout you're seeing, if you recognize it, it's because this was in Level Cap's RDD Combat Medic loadout video. That's my loadout, so if you're interested in that, there you go. The Mauser self-loading rifle, model 1916, or Self-Slaughter 1916, is a German medic rifle, or self-loading rifle in Battlefield 1, that in real life was developed, and it never really saw trench combat, but much like the Mondragon, it saw use in the Flieger Corps to be used in planes. As for in-game stats, 1916 has a maximum damage of 40, and a minimum damage of 35, firing at a rate of 225 rounds per minute. It comes with a 26-round detachable magazine, which means not only is your killing potential huge, but you also can reload extremely quickly compared to the other self-loading rifles. Now I view this gun in a game the same way I viewed a Mondragon. It is a gun of extremely high potential. 3-shot to kill at any range, so that alone is just an amazing stat. You have a 26-round detachable magazine, so you can go through an absurd amount of people, reload, and then go through an absurd amount of people again. The biggest downside of this weapon, and this is why it's not an S tier, is it's by far the slow. Well, that's not true. The RSC shoots slower, but it shoots extremely slow compared to all the other 3-shot to kill medic rifles. And in this gameplay, I don't know if you can tell, it really does struggle up close, especially compared to the Mondragon. So that's why I had to put it in A tier. But if you're anywhere beyond 20 meters, I mean, you really got to be careful, especially on PC as somebody walking around the party. The Ribe Roll Suter and Shisha Fusil Automatique Modèle 1917, or RSC 1917, is a French self-loading rifle manufactured in, obviously, the year 1917. Now, this gun has a very interesting history. It was actually technically the first self-loading rifle adopted by any military faction. Most believe that's the M1 Garand in World War II, but the French, they were throughout, all time before and during World War I, trying to get a self-loading rifle to the militaries because they did realize the potential of it. So they hired these three famous arms manufacturers, two of which already have guns in the game, with the Ribe Roll and the Shisha. They said, all right, make us a rifle based on the conversion of the Lebel, and they did a very good job of that. It's very robust, very prepared for trench combat. The biggest problem, the reason this rifle wasn't issued to every soldier, was just too expensive, but I believe 18,000 were issued by the end of the war. So you could make a very strong claim this was the first self-loading rifle in combat. As for in-game stats, the RSC boasts of hefty damage of 53 up to 44 meters, dropping down to 38 at 59 meters, firing at a rate of 163 rounds per minute, which is by far the slowest out of all the self-loading rifles. The RSC comes with a 5-round detachable magazine with one in the chamber if you do a tactical reload, which it does reload very quickly, 2.7 for the tactical and 3 seconds for the empty. Now, I love the RSC simply because it's the definition of a skill cannon. If you're accurate, if you can hit your shots, this gun is an animal. It's almost impossible to get beat up close. You will drop people faster than they can barely even react. And it's just a blast to use. I mean, when you kill somebody with this gun, you really feel like you're rewarded. The only reason it's not an S tier is because if you miss your shots, I mean, which happens, this gun's time to kill drops significantly. So, I mean, as a whole, it's a very fun gun to use. I would be very hesitant to take this thing into Argonne Forest. You need to have your aim on point, so PC or a high-skill console player. But if you're looking to master a gun for the fun factor, not for the skill factor, look no further. I mean, this thing, it's just an absolute blast to use. I enjoy using it so much. I think the best game I posted up was Empire's Edge. I went like 50 and 7. I mean, you can really do great things with this thing, but you have to be accurate, so that's my opinion. The Remington Model 8, or quite simply just the Autoloading 8, is an American self-loading rifle that has seen many variations, many different calibers, many different magazine sizes, many different barrel lengths. It's like a fully modifiable weapon that saw use through mostly police work and civilian use I mean, I think today you see civilians with it, but it was a very common police rifle up into the 50s and whatnot. Actually, quite interesting, this exact variant with the 15-round detachable magazine is the exact same variant that a Texas Ranger used to kill Bonnie and Clyde. In-game, the auto-loading 8.25 extended does a maximum damage of 38 and minimum damage of 21, firing at a rate of 360 rounds per minute. It comes standard with a 16-round or a 15-round detachable magazine with one in the chamber, and it's reloads for tactical at 2.4 free seconds and an empty at basically 3 seconds. Now, if you couldn't tell already by the stats, the auto-loading 8.25 extended is by far the best medic rifle up close. It does 3-shot damage up close, which is on par with everything up to 11 meters. It does drop down to 5 shots to kill at range. That's not impossible to use. I've gotten away with it if people are standing still, but it's clearly not as good as something like a Rigoti or a Mondragon, so you have to know where you're playing. But, I mean, as a whole, you want to take play a medic on Amiens Argonne Forest. This is by far the best gun to use. It is actually pretty dominant up close if you hit your shots. I think it will beat out most SMGs. I mean, if you are looking to have some fun with a medic rifle, you're new to the class, and you want something where you can miss some shots easily, this is definitely what I would pick. And the 15-round magazine is higher than most, so you can definitely get away with killing multiple targets before you have to reload. For B tier, we have the M1907 SL and the rifle grenades frag. Really quickly going over the rifle grenades. As a whole, I don't think you should use rifle grenades. The syringe and the bandage pouch / medical crate are just significantly better for your team. I'm going to be honest, running rifle grenades is pretty selfish, but if you are going to run one, I would say the frag is probably by far your best option. The first time I used it was to get the 1906 sniper variant, and it's not bad at all. I don't think they've nerfed the explosion or if it did or anything from the beginning of the game, whereas they've nerfed the regular frag grenade, so this thing is actually very dangerous. I'm hoping people don't figure out about it, because in the right hands on close quarters maps, I mean, I've gotten like quads with this one grenade. It's a little ridiculous. But yeah, once again, it's by no means a bad gadget. Probably your best option of all the rifle grenades, but I wouldn't recommend running rifle grenades, but again, that's just me. The Winchester Model 1907 self-loading rifle, or M1907 SL, is an American self-loading rifle made by the Winchester Arms Company and was delved out to American law enforcement, American military forces, French, basically all Allied powers throughout the Great War. It rarely saw use in combat. I think France deployed a few. Most of the variants that were deployed had a 15-round magazine. However, a lot of air forces, Britain and France included, did use these on the back of the planes, much like the Mondragon and Subslaughter 1916 rifles. In-game, the 1907 has a maximum damage of 42 and a minimum damage of 23, firing at a rate of 299 rounds per minute, with a magazine size of 20 rounds with one in the chamber, and a reload speed of 2.3 seconds for the tactical and 3 seconds for the empty. Now, just like the auto-loading 8.25 extended, the 1907 is geared towards close quarters combat, which is inherently not really where medic class excels. If you couldn't tell already, I don't really like this weapon very much. I find it to be a kind of a noob's version of the auto-loading F125 extended, and I say this because the sweeper variant is fully automatic. No other gun has that except the Saber-Goaty, but no one really knows about the Saber-Goaty having an automatic function. I just think if you're going to try to have a close quarters geared weapon, you're better off in almost every way using the auto-loading 8.25. Same shots to kill. The 1907 has slightly more range and a slightly bigger magazine, with the biggest advantage obviously being the the automatic fire, which again, if you just get used to, you can completely avoid that problem. And your time to kill will actually be faster than 1907 because you have a higher rate of fire. But yeah, as a whole, this gun's just average. Not good, not bad, just plain average. In C tier, we have the auto-loading 8.35, the Subslaughter 1906, and the rifle grenade Sniv. Now, before I go on to both C and F tier, keep in mind, all these guns are bad, none are good, some are better than others, some are more fun than others, but by taking any of these next few choices, you are hindering yourself over taking an A, B, or S tier weapon. Now, the reason I have two separate guns listed from the auto-loading 8.25 and the auto-loading 8.35 is actually a varying different stats between magazine and damage, which I'll go into right now. The auto-loading 8.35 has a maximum damage of 42 and a minimum damage of 30, firing at a rate of 359 rounds per minute. It comes with a 5-round fixed internal magazine similar to the Saber-Goaty and the Mondragon, which means you're going to have to load into each round individually. I don't know if you've done the math yet, but 5 rounds, 3 shots to kill, you can only kill one person with magazine with this weapon, same as the 1906, and that's why it's in C tier. What's interesting about this weapon, though, is up to 34 meters, you have the fastest time to kill of all the medic rifles, which, in my eyes, makes it the most fun out of all of these C-tier weapons to use, but doesn't make it a good weapon. I mean, if you're accurate, you're going up against one person, this gun can be fun and it can suit its purpose, but obviously competitively, 5 rounds, you're never going to go very far. That's why it's in C tier, but if you're looking for a challenge or just something different, this would be one to pick up. The Luger Selbstlader Model 1906, or simply the Selbstlader 1906, is a German self-loading rifle based entirely off the P08 or Luger P08's firing mechanism. I mean, this gun essentially is just a large P08 with a larger barrel and that shoots larger rounds. And yeah, I mean, it did not see any use. I think it was patented by a British company, but it's a very fun gun that I'm actually happy they included in Battlefield 1. In-game, this gun is the very definition of niche. It has a maximum damage of 40 and a minimum damage of 35, firing rate at 299 rounds per minute, and has a 5-round fixed internal magazine. Now, while this gun can 3-shot at any range, it also only has 5 rounds, so you only be getting 1 kill per magazine. Until the addition of the sniper variant, which is a absolute pain in the ass to get, this gun had no purpose. Because yeah, it's technically the best, has technically the best time to kill at, extreme ranges. But you couldn't utilize it because it only had iron sights. But now that the sniper variant exists, it bumped it up from a F tier gun to a C tier gun, but it's still not good. If you're looking for something fun, something kind of cool to use, I mean, obviously, I have the legendary skin's a little biased in its favor. This is a gun that you can have some fun with, but it is in no way a good gun, so just keep that in mind. Lastly, for C tier, we have the rifle grenade smoke. These things are so incredibly situational that it's kind of a joke. I mean, I could think of one great scenario. First base on some high desert operations, oil of empires, you got to get across those fields, lay down a few smoke grenades, a couple other scenarios you could say, oh, give myself some visual cover, but compared to the syringe, the rifle grenade's frag, or the bandage pouch, like, there's no good reason to use it, but it does have it is useful in certain scenarios, that's why it's not an F tier. And last, and certainly least, we have F tier, which includes one thing, and that's the rifle grenades HE. This gadget is a joke. It serves no purpose. You do about 5 damage to a tank. 5. So instead of running a bandage pouch, a syringe, a healing crate, even a grenade that can kill swarms of infantry, you choose to run something that can do 5 damage to a tank. This is a joke. There's no purpose to it. Don't ever use this. You are better off using smoke grenades out of your rifle than these things. Just do not pick them up no matter what you do. So that's about it for the medic guide. It took me a really long fucking time to make this video, so I'd actually greatly appreciate not only you guys viewing it, subscribing, a like. Yeah, I know I'm that douchebag, but I mean, as a whole, between recording gameplay and editing this video, this is going to be about a 10-hour project. So some support, comment would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, that'll be it. See you guys.